BitsWits and the CP team along with that. Actually, like you have seen the whole product, and now we are going into the each specific segment, the product module, and each and everything. So the best part is that that's a whole system. So I think like the customer, I had a discussion with Gavin so many time on that about the features of the BitFish product and so on. So I think the best thing we need to do is like we should sum up the customer's requirement, which actually is in the demand right now of the CP existing customers. This is the best thing. So we can target those customers by fulfilling their needs. Like somebody is asking for the rate management thing, or somebody is asking for the monitoring tool. So we should target the customer with respect to the module, each module, module 1, module 2, module 3. And then later on, we can finalize if somebody is asking for the whole suite. So that will be the strategy from our end to sell the product. As far as the concern with this CP team, how and the BitsWits would like to proceed with the CP. Beside the commercial thing, since the commercial is not finalized it as per, so we can discuss on the pricing thing, but that we can finalize it right now. Those who are your existing customers, like you have some sort of database, so we should like to design some marketing material or some sort of sales pitch to your existing customer that CP is now coming with these additional features. So we can target at least the existing customers. Those who are the CP users right now, they are somehow facing these kind of challenges which we have developed, like the rate management thing, the monitoring thing, the HCR part. There are a lot of things which we have covered in this module, and then later on after the demo, you will get to know how things will be the benefit for the CP and the CP's customer as well. So I think we should design some marketing material and go together into the market, especially to your existing customers. Whatever the database you have, like 100 customer, 200, like I was talking with that Gavin last few months ago, he told me that you have almost 600 existing customers, one for the hosted and for the flex purchase. So the better thing, we should target those customers. Basically, they are already in touch with us, and they are definitely need some solution with respect to the rate management and the other part. So we can pitch them with respect that CP is coming along with this BitsWits features. These are the features. Later on, we can finalize the marketing material, what should be there, what should not be there. So this will be the strategy which we would like to pursue on that. And afterward, later on, we can, once this first, basically, I would like to divide this marketing strategy into two phases. First phase is for the existing customer, and the second phase for the new market.
Okay.
So for the new market, like the events are going on, like the ITW, like the Capacity Middle East Asia.
Jawad, you disappeared. Yeah, somehow you disappeared. Okay, you disappeared for last 15 seconds or so.
Okay. So I was saying that we should divide the marketing or the sales strategy in two phases. First phase is for the existing customers.
Exactly.
With those customers who are already in touch with the CP, we should address their issues, and then we finalize the marketing material and pitch through email by.
Jawad, it's a problem with the connection, but okay.
Content they can approach. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear. We can hear.
Okay. So we should divide the marketing strategy in two things. One is for the existing customer, and second for the new customer, for the new opportunity. For the new opportunity, later on we can discuss whether we should go to together into the events and by using the BitsWits and the CP name into the market. This is the second phase, but the first phase is just customer is asking for the rate management thing, so we should target for the rate management module. If somebody is asking for the monitoring tool, then we should give for the monitoring. Basically, this bits auto, bits extreme, bits I, the other thing, that's a complete whole suite. That's a whole product for the Wi-Fi industry. So somehow, with respect to the price concern, customer may not able to buy at a once. So we can pitch them with respect to the module, like you are selling your product with respect to your ports, like 100 ports, 200 ports, 300 ports, 500 ports. You have different module, like hosted module, like flex model. So in that case, we should target customer with respect to modules, module 1, module 2, module 3. This is the strategy I think we should go forward.
Okay, yeah.
Now take the feedback from the Gavin and Max on that, so we can come up with the strategy where we should like to go.
Okay.
So I think is there now, and from the BitsWits team. So if you need to discuss regarding the commercial or the marketing strategy, so I'm here. And after completing the demo, we can discuss this later on as well. So what's your point of view?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I totally agree with you. Let me discuss it with Kevin and Max. And yeah, I will outline your suggestions and offers. But probably we need
give my suggestion that maybe something good with their end, but I think this is the best strategy we can do that.
Yeah.
Basically, we have already customers in hand, so we can, and we know the pain points, so we can already target them with the best thing.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's switch to the demo session.
Yes, Ali, over to you.
Hi, Ali.
Hello, Ali.
Hello, Ali, are you there?
Ali, are you with us? Okay, now we can see you.
Ali, your voice, I think your mic is mute, so please.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah,
hello?
We can hear you. Oh, yes.
Okay, great. How are you guys?
Okay,
fine, thank you. What about you?
I'm fine. Okay, so I think as previously discussed with Anatoly also, so let's start within where we left last time, and then we would be discussing about the vendor rate import and the vendor route management, which is actually how the vendor rates are configured. So let me share my screen.
Sure.
Okay, I would be sharing my screen. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, Ali.
Okay, great. So first of all, before going through the demo, what I would like to say is just to clear that since so many days and since our last discussion, we have been only discussing about vendor rate management and vendor rate import. Now, just to inform you guys that BitsAuto is a whole lot of things. There are a lot of modules like routing management and reseller management. There is a whole dial code management, billing, authentications, finance. So there are so many other modules and so many automations in BitsAuto, which is the part of BitsAuto, right? So currently we are just discussing about this vendor rate import. When the vendor sends an email, how BitsAuto fetches the email and what it does actually before it importing in BitsAuto, right? So this was the first note. The second note is that we have to understand that BitsAuto and SIPI have a totally different scope, right? what BitsAuto does is totally different, and what SIPI does is totally different. BitsAuto is basically doing the business automation part. All the information which SIPI requires, BitsAuto basically uploads that information on the switch. But before that, it does some processes and a whole set. There are several processes and there are several things which goes on in BitsAuto, which is the part of the business automation. Okay, so what BitsAuto does in each and every module is the business automation, so that the user and so that the carrier can manage whole business in a fluent way. And if the carrier is offering A to Z or so many vendor rates and so many products, and the whole business is vast. So for that purpose, and for reducing the human errors and for reducing the human cost, this is where BitsAuto comes in, right? And after doing all the business automation part, everything is uploaded on SIPI, and then SIPI does its onwards all the work, right? There's a switch actually. So this was just a preamble sort of thing. So today we would be discussing just this portion, which is how vendor rates come in BitsAuto, right? And then as I previously said, then there are so many modules, and there are so many lot of things going on in BitsAuto, which we would be discussing later in maybe future sessions. Okay, so after this, let me switch to the document which I've sent to you today. Okay, so this is a kind of a flow which BitsAuto goes through when it receives rates from vendors. Okay, so before going towards the flow, what I would also like to say is that this flow assumes, I would be demonstrating this flow, and this flow assumes that the vendor has already been configured, as we have discussed last time, how the vendor is configured. I would be showing a glimpse of it, bits and pieces, that how some of the configurations are set. But apart from that, assuming that vendor has been already configured, and then this flow comes into play. Okay, so before we actually go through this flow, which includes the vendor, BitsAuto, and SIPI switch. Okay, so before this flow, as I said, we have already configured, and we assume that we have already configured a vendor. So after the configuration, there is this email which is received to the vendor, which is actually sent by BitsAuto, that successful registration of this particular vendor has been conducted. So for the purpose of demo, we are talking about air-wide solutions. Okay, so my voice is clear, my screen is clear.
Yeah, everything.
You guys can hear me properly.
Everything goes excellent. Yeah, everything is clear.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So for this instance, we would be considering this vendor. It's just a name, Air-wide Solutions. It's a dummy vendor, and after configuring this vendor in BitsAuto, this email has been sent to this vendor. Okay, I would also like to say this, that I have opened this email. This vendor was registered by the email of afaq@bitswits.com for the demo purpose. Okay, and I've already logged into this. As you can see, this I've already logged into afaq@bitswits, so I can show you that what email I have received after the registration. So I'm acting as a vendor also in BitsAuto also. So currently, if I'm Air-wide Solutions, I would receive this email, successful registration of Air-wide Solutions. And these are the constituents of this email, that any email received from this email, which is afaq@bitswits.com, or IP address not registered with us will be rejected. So we already sent this note that other than this email, we won't be accepting the rate sheets or the vendor rate sheets. Okay, and then we notify that these are the formats, these are the validations which would be performed, destination, dial codes, rates, what are the rules and effective date, what's the format, and then a little bit about the email subject, that what should be how the vendor would be sending us the email, and what would be the email subject. So again, this is the little bit summary of the as soon as the vendor is registered, this email is sent to the vendor. Then this flow comes into play. Now, after the successful registration, what vendor would do is send us an email. By us, I mean BitsAuto. So vendor would be sending the email from the registered email address, that is this email, in our case, afaq@bitswits.com. Okay. This email would be, now what BitsAuto does is it continuously checks for the reception of any rate sheet. Okay. And of course, any registered email address. BitsAuto continuously, what it does is it continuously checks if there is any new vendor's rate sheet or not. As soon as it receives a rate sheet, it goes through certain processes. These are the processes. First of all, BitsAuto evaluates whether the rate sheets have been received from authorized sender or IP. So, which we have already informed the vendor that this particular email. So, when we say authorized, how do we configure this? I already mentioned that the vendor has already been configured, and in that configuration, there are some fields: the email, the authorized email, as well as the IP. Okay, I've already shared the screenshots previously in some of the documents. Okay, then BitsAuto identifies the vendor's product and trunk. Now, what happens is in this career business, what happens is that a vendor not just offers a single product, but on the basis of certain criteria, vendors offer several products and with different configurations and with different rates. For instance, standard, premium, platinum. These are some of the names of the products which usually vendors offer. The name might be different, it doesn't matter, but the rates are also different. So BitsAuto categorizes those rates accordingly, according to the product of the vendor. So this is important, and BitsAuto identifies it automatically as per the subject mentioned by the vendor. Then what BitsAuto does is evaluates whether the received rate sheet is as per registered format or not. So as previously mentioned, there is an agreement between vendor and BitsWits that this particular format, that this should be there is a registered format which a vendor previously registers with BitsWits, and then according to that registered format, the vendor next time the vendor sends the rate sheet in that particular format only. If the vendor changes the format without previously informing BitsWits, then that the rate sheet would be rejected. Otherwise, if the if the vendor informs before the particular time period, then the user, the carrier registers again that particular format, and then again the email is received and successfully registered. So anyways, if everything goes fine, the registered format goes fine, what BitsAuto does is it evaluates whether the received rate sheet is full rate sheet or changes only. Now this is again important with respect to the business. These are some business terms, as far as the careers are concerned, that what is the full sheet, what are the changes only. Full sheet, in a nutshell, full sheet means that the previous rates, all the previous rates would be expired, and now this particular sheet which is sent by the vendor would prevail, and none other than that rates or destinations would prevail. But if the vendor sends changes only, then it means that previous rates would prevail, just the particular destinations which are sent by vendor are updated. So this is basically update, and this is the whole new rate sheet kind of a thing. So according to the format, if the full sheet is sent, so the vendor would mention it here full. If the changes only, then the partial would be sent. This destination and country also changes only if the change is only on the country level. So country would be mentioned. If the change is only destination level, so destination would be
Ali,
mentioned.
can I ask?
I would like to.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
How easy is to convince or to make the vendor to follow these rules? Because vendors.
Okay, yeah, this was my
on
next
practice.
sentence. That this is an industry norm. Whenever uh, big vendors and clients come into play, for example, IXLink. Okay, IXLink also follows such rules, and for the sake of automation, this is an industry norm that for the sake of automation and for the automatic receival, vendors do send this kind of an email subject and this kind of email format. And once the registration process is done, then they have to just resend it with just an attachment. With just changing the attachment, the vendor usually resends the email with the same format, with the same subject, with the same email address, just changing the attachment. This is how it goes on in the industry.
Okay, so it's feasible.
This is kind of a norm. Okay, so apart from whether the rate sheet format is full or changes only, then BitsAuto evaluates whether the changes in rates and dial codes are as per agreement or not. Now here the validation part comes in the business rules. Now this is the core part of BitsAuto, which is the automation part. That BitsAuto basically keeps the record of all the previous rate sheets of the vendor, product wise, of course, and then it compares the rates and try to identify the trends and try to identify the increase or decrease. And if there is an increase, so is there the particular time mentioned in the activation date? For example, if there is an increase, there should be a 7-day notice. So these all the rules are validated automatically by BitsAuto. Now this is huge. Normally the problem with the career business is, since the if we talk about A to Z, then there are huge number of codes, huge number of destinations, and of course a huge number of rates. It is in industry, it's very hard to go through naked eye of a human being and go through all the rates and all the destinations and then compare it to the previous rate sheets, and then to identify whether there is an increase or a decrease, and then assuming that there is no human error in between. So this is kind of a whole task. There are a lot of chances of human error, and there are a lot of chances of mistakes. So without the human intervention, what BitsAuto does is evaluates all the changes of rates also and dial codes also. Now, when I say dial code, I mean vendor might unoffer a dial code. Maybe a vendor starts to offer a destination. Maybe a vendor deletes a destination without notice. So these are kind of an industry norm that this should not happen without the notice. So, and if there is an A to Z sheet and a human, it's very hard for a human eye to catch these changes. So BitsAuto automatically identifies those changes, automatically applies rules on it. When I say rule, there are pre-configured rules according to each and every vendor. So if it identifies any change, the BitsAuto also takes some actions accordingly. When I say action, I mean the next point. Based on the above evaluation, that means changes in the rates or changes in the dial codes, BitsAuto sends email to the vendor of acceptance or rejection. Now there are several bases of the rejection. There might be some anomaly in the format, as we mentioned here. So the rejection also contains the reason for the rejection. So what BitsAuto does is also conveys the vendor that why that particular rate sheet was rejected, whether there was some problem in the format or whether there was there was an increase, or there was a violation of the rule, business rule. So these all are covered systematically in the system, and they are also conveyed accordingly to the vendor. So this is, so you just imagine all this process from reception of the rate. Now you see, there is no human intervention between getting the email, getting the sheet, and uploading it to the system. So there is, again, it's also secured that there is no human intervention. A human being, a user, an operator can't change the rate, or can't miss any destination, can't miss any rate. So these are all the problems which carriers actually face. So this is all automatic. Authorized email, authorized IP, BitsAuto automatically fetches, no human intervention here. Now, all the process from evaluation of the rate sheet, from identifying the product, no mistake here, no human intervention here, from evaluating the format, and from identifying the changes, whether the changes in the rate or dial code, it is all automatic. And there is no delay in conveying the vendor whether the rate sheet is accepted or rejected. Whether the rate sheet is accepted, the vendor is informed, and if it's rejected, it's also informed with the reason attached. Okay, and this whole process is automatic and very swift. This is even very fast also. And if accepted, now assuming if it's rejected, then the BitsAuto system just informs the vendor. But if it accepts the rate sheet, what happens is BitsAuto evaluates whether vendor is selected in the routing. Now this is important. See, the BitsAuto does not just randomly or just blindly uploads each and every rate and each and every destination set detail and routes to the switch. First of all, it checks as per business business implementation whether this particular vendor has been participating in a particular product. When I say product, I mean offering, right? So whether this particular vendor has been offered to any has been participating in any product. If yes, then only it uploads the rate to the CP and goes through the process, the further process, and updates the routing and updates the destination set details. When I say destination set details, I mean routes, which are basically vendor rates. So this is for, and what we have done is because we receive several rates of the vendors, and not all the vendors participate in the actual products due to several reasons. The reason might be higher rate, the reason might be poor quality, which is where LCR comes in. This is totally a different module. We would be discussing the LCR in maybe future sessions. So again, there might be several reasons, and for the sake of simplicity, we might be receiving hundreds of vendor rate sheets, but this is possible that ultimately only 10 rate sheets are being uploaded on the switch. So this is where load balancing comes in. The technical guys would know this, that how the problematic. There are so many prefixes, though so many dial codes, and it's not according to the performance that we upload all the rates. So what BitsAuto does is it evaluates whether it's taking part in any routing or not, and then accordingly it uploads it to the switch. Okay, and in case vendor is selected in routing, BitsAuto considers which codes are required to block. Now here again, the business comes in. The whole business automation part comes in. There are several business norms which the carrier does is that, for example, there is some problem with maybe one of the destination or one of the code, for example, Pakistan mobile zone. This is just for the example, okay? And there is some problem. The problem might be higher rates or poor quality, whatever be the reason, okay? So what if this particular carrier does not wants to offer just this particular destination? And of course, when I say destination, I also mean particular codes also of Pakistan mobile zone. for this particular example. So there is the whole system of dial code management, which offers the user to block the whole destination, either whole destination or whole or particular prefixes. So according to that business logic, what BitsAuto does is automatically applies that particular global logic to these routes, and then accordingly uploads it to the switch. So the routes which are blocked globally by the carrier, for example, in this case, Pakistan Mobile Zong. So if a particular carrier has blocked it globally, and the carrier does not want to offer this destination and has already configured it in BitsAuto, so BitsAuto automatically applies that particular rule in all the codes and all the rate sheets. The user does not has to repeat all the action each and every time. Just configure once, and BitsAuto will do it again and again in all the rate sheets each and every day. So this is all automatic, and the user does not has to worry about again and again blocking the codes and going into each and every rate sheet and each and every vendor and blocking each and every code. So this is again automatically done. And again, there is one more thing. BitsAuto considers what preference needs to be assigned. As this is according to the structure of the CP switch, that each and every vendor's route, destination set and route has a preference, which is again used in the routing for the vendor. So this preference is also assigned globally in a product. The whole product cycle would be demonstrated in future sessions, inshallah. But here, for the sake of simplicity, just to understand that preferences are set just once. Of course, they can be changed, but preferences are set once, and then according all the in the future, automatically BitsAuto applies those preferences on the vendor's routes, and then these preferences are automatically applied on each and every code. And then BitsAuto, after doing all these process automatically, comes that BitsAuto prepares and sends the rate to, you see, from the reception of the rate sheet, this whole business logic is applied by BitsAuto, and then ultimately these routes are uploaded on CPSoft in the form of destination sets and destination set details, which are also destination set contains all the routes of the vendor. This whole prepared information and all baked information is presented to CPSoft switch, and then CPSoft switch uploads. What we do is we automatically upload all the rates to the CPSoft switch in the database, and then these rates are used by CPSoft and by switch for the call routing and all the stuff which CP already does. So this is kind of a whole flow. Again, I've tried to
Ali,
again, I've tried to ignore a little bit details. This is kind of an overview, and there are several other details which comprises of this flow, but for the sake of simplicity, I've ignored for this this particular session.
Ali, can I ask you, does BitsAuto requires interaction with CP on stage of preparation?
Just once when the vendor is configured. Initially, when the vendor is configured, what BitsAuto does is, when the vendor is configured in BitsAuto, it syncs this vendor to the CP switch. Okay. Then what it does is, it gets the particular, if I talk in technical terms, it gets all the details of the primary keys which it requires in future For example, Destin said which vendor tariff has to be synced, which destination sets have to be synced. So it uploads, it gathers initially all the information. Then next time, after pre-configuration of the vendor, only once, then it never requires any communication with the switch.
Also, additional question: what types of interaction BitsAuto requires to get some information from CP? Only via API, or you are using some direct queries to DB?
Direct queries to DB are also used in different cases, because mentioned in different communications that the API doesn't support bulk upload, bulk interaction.
Yes, that's right. And I have a
Yes.
question: do you have any documentation where we can check what type of interaction requires in different cases?
Like for example, in this currently, like here I have mentioned, like this particular document, here I've simply mentioned that all the prepared rates are ultimately uploaded. When I say uploaded, the routes are updated, and destination sets are updated in this particular flow. Okay, just destination sets and are updated. What BitsAuto does is, so that if a vendor has offered fresh rates, so that without delay, it uploads and updates the database of the switch with the particular routes.
Okay, I understood, but I'm asking if you have some documentations that shows all types of interaction with CP. Do you have some exact queries that you are applying to get some information from CP on, and what APIs you are using for interaction with CP?
Since I mentioned that the built-in API of CP was not supporting bulk actions, so what we did was we have kind of made a intermediate communication platform for communicating with CP, so that we can directly talk to the database of the CP and upload the required information.
Okay, in such case, I have another question. What actions do you need to configure in CP all needed modules that will communicate with your product?
The initial configuration.
Do you have some tools that should be installed in CP for proper communication?
Not right now. Not right now. We just talk directly to DB in cases of when the API is not available. Some of the actions are done with the CP API. Otherwise, we have written our own interfacing code, so that it interfaces with the CP directly and does all the bulk action. And of course, the validation is already done in this.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And okay, so this is just the flow. What I can do is, if this is understood, so I can also show you what happens is how now we started from this successful registration email. Now, being a vendor, what it does is the email which Airwide solution would be sending is with this subject and this and this is the format. These are the sheets which are for the demonstration purpose, which are sent to BitsAuto by this particular vendor. This is the actual email which I would be demonstrating. So for example, let's take this last sheet. And here I've already prepared this Pakistan mobile song. These are the changes which were sent in this sheet. So as you can see, this is this particular vendor, this Afaq at bitswits.com is saying that there is no change in this Pakistan mobile SEO zone. So as you can see, 7.9 rate is offered, and BitsAuto is saying that there is no change in rate. Okay, now let me show you how BitsAuto does this. So this is the BitsAuto screen, Airwide Solution Premium Tariff Rates. Of course, I have already opened this window so that I can save time, but the user can always navigate through the nav bar. And as you can see, BitsAuto shows whether there was previously an increase or a decrease. So in this case, since the previous rate was 8.13, which I can also show you in the previous sheet. This sheet was rejected. Now this sheet. $8.13 was the rate. This was the previous rate, 8.13 of Pakistan mobile SEO zone. Okay, so here you can see the previous rate was 8.13. Now, without informing, the vendor has decreased, which vendor can do, no issues. And vendor has changed the rate from 8.13 to 7.9. And since this is a decrease, so BitsAuto has automatically judged and identified that this is a decrease. And
without interaction with CP, right?
Sorry?
Without interaction with CP, right?
All interaction?
I'm asking if interaction with CP is required on this stage, or
no. At this stage, we are here. If I talk in the flow, at this stage, the vendor rate sheet is received, and BitsAuto is going through all the rules. This is
okay.
All the baked data is then sent to CP, not otherwise.
So as far as understood, you have your own database where you are storing all this information, like prices of rates, etc.
Yes, very true.
Great, thank you.
And this all comparison is based on several criteria, and this is just an example of rate. There are several examples of destinations, new destination, new dial codes. And same is the case at the client side, which I would come later, but let's not get into that. But this, for the sake of just talking about the vendor. So this automatically, of course, there is a database behind this, and BitsAuto for the user, it's automatic, and just this whole business automation is for the user. It automatically identifies. And just to show you guys, I've actually filtered the whole tariff of the vendor. Currently, we are just for showing guys, I've already filtered on Pakistan and this particular prefix. Because if I would just filter out, I would just remove this filter, then the whole rate sheet of vendor would open, and then you would know. Okay, I think so. So just to mention that BitsAuto stores history of vendor data, in a optimized way, and when it received the vendor rate sheet, it compares with the previous rates. Or for example, here 8.13 was the previous rate, and currently it's 7.9. Now this is just for the case of uh, uh, mobile zone. Okay, and if you would like further, I could show you of Uphone. For example, here this particular code is 6.1. So here 6.1 was the previous rate of this particular code, and the last rate sheet you see 6.5. It's an increase. Vendor, whether vendor mentions it or not, here it's no changes, but BitsAuto again automatically detects all the changes and notifies it accordingly. And if there is a violation of rule, so BitsAuto also identifies it. Okay, so this was the successful reception. Okay, but what if there is a problem, and if there is a problem, then BitsAuto also notifies. For example, this is a successful delivery, and this is the, for example, this is the full rejection. Okay, now this was a full rejection because this particular business rule was violated. This is a particular very well formatted email which is sent to the vendor due to some anomaly in the rate sheet received. Now, I being the vendor, because for the demo purpose, I've been logged in as a vendor. So I received this rate sheet, and I'm watching that what I've done wrong. So there was an invalid effective date found. So in one of the rate sheet, just for the demo purpose, I'm showing just different emails to you, that for this particular case, a wrong effective date was intentionally sent, and then the rejection has occurred. So the notification has, without any delay, without any human intervention, that notification was sent. And what I would also like to mention is that what vendor does is that, for example, I being a vendor, I've been assigned by BitsAuto a particular email address. So that BitsAuto basically sniffs that email address and checks whether some rate sheet has been received or not. In this case, for example, here it's the email address is qa@bitswits@gmail.com. So what this vendor does is always sends rates to this particular email address. Then only we would acknowledge the rates. Otherwise, we won't. And this all is done in the agreement part, which is the part of the configuration. And then only the successful registration is sent. Okay, so this is kind of the flow which actually goes behind the scene in the BitsAuto, the whole business logic, which automatically evaluates the changes and takes action, whether it's an acceptance or the rejection, and takes the action accordingly and updates not just all, but only those vendors which are taking part in routing. Only those sheets are uploaded, and only those destinations are updated. Otherwise, if previously a destination is blocked or something, so BitsAuto automatically blocks in further all the destinations. So of course there is a huge there is a whole business logic going on behind the scenes, and there is a database of BitsAuto which keeps track on which keeps track on all the changes and all the configurations, of course, of the vendor. This all business logic and this all rules are stored in BitsAuto. For example, for case of Airwide Solutions, this is the particular vendor which you are talking about. Each and every vendor can be configured, and each and every vendor, because in career business, there are several terms and conditions with each and every vendor. So rules can be twisted and configured accordingly. So this is also offered by BitsAuto, so that we can twist some rules. Maybe after talking to some vendor, we decide that rate increase violation rule should be ignored. So if this is clicked, it would be ignored. If BitsAuto is instructed to reject the rate sheet, so it will reject the rate sheet. So again, this is the trigger. This is automatically identified by BitsAuto, and these are the several actions which automatically takes place of this particular trigger. Again, keeping things simple. So this is the whole flow. But again, I would like to mention that this is only the vendor rate sheet reception part. There are several things going on in BitsAuto apart from this. There are routing management, configure the routes and preferences, and the order of the vendor, and configure the connections, configure the connections, and each and every time when new rates or new configurations are received, BitsAuto automatically follows on the previous configuration and does the configuration automatically. So again, this was just the vendor rate import part. Maybe after discussion with Anatoly, we can arrange the whole the remaining things of BitsAuto.
Yeah, sure.
Which I've already.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I have one general question. Probably we can address this in more details in the text chart. But what are your expectations to CP in nearest future, to CP support team or probably development team? I mean that you can proceed technically on your own, or probably you have some wishes that that support team or development team of CP can.
Yeah. Just of course, BitsAuto, the support of BitsAuto would be given by BitsWits. The interface, the support of the uploading and all the mechanism would be given by BitsWits. What we would like to be informed earlier is if there is a change in CP. So what we would like is if there is a change in API, or if there is a change in structure. When I say structure, I mean schema of the database. This is our requirement that we should be we may be informed earlier, so that we can make the changes on our side accordingly. Okay. Otherwise, as far as support is concerned, BitsAuto support would be given by BitsWits, and the intermediate the interface part of the information being BitsAuto to CP, that part would be also covered by BitsWits. And again, this is only the requirement of this all deal, that if there are any changes in the API.
Further in more detail, like I would like to summarize the Ali's point of view over here. Basically, the business model which we are looking for, like for the support of which is related to the BitsWits product, this support will be definitely given by BitsWits team. But something is need to be done at the CP end, then that we need your support on that. That's the first thing. And this second thing is that, like, if any changes, like the version is going to change or something is happening with the CP structure, then BitsWits team supposed to be informed earlier. Basically, both things are linked together. This is basically we are looking for the business deal on that. Any query related to the BitsWits interface or anything will be entertained by BitsWits team and its support team. And something which is related to the CP soft or the switch part, that we need your help on it. But as far as this is the same thing which we have discussed earlier few minutes ago, that we need to strategize the thing, like how how we would like to go into the market. Like your customer will directly open ticket at your platform, or they will open ticket at BitsWits portal. That we need to discuss. But as far as the structure is concerned, anything related to the BitsWits or the Bits Auto, Bits Extreme, all the module, our team will be there to fix the issues. But if you need to do some changes in the software end or the structure end, that we need you to tell us earlier, so we should make changes in the system accordingly.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Great.
Okay.
Yes. Clear.
Okay.
Great.
Probably.
Yes, Ali, please continue.
Yeah, probably we need to wrap up as we a little bit out of time already. Thank you everybody. Thank you Ali for good presentation. I believe that next meeting we need to do together with our sales guys to see how we can organize the promotion. But obviously we would need the promotional materials, presentations, whatever. Again, we can discuss it and yeah. And also we'll discuss at our internal meeting how we can formalize this process of informing each other about mentioned changes and yeah, how to organize. But
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Okay.
Sure. Great. Welcome and thanks for your participation also and your team.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Anatoly. Thank you, CTP.
Thank you everybody. Thank Jawad.
Have a nice day there.
Have a nice day.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your demo.
Yeah. Bye bye.
It was
And
very useful.
anything which we need to cover, so we can talk on the group chat.
Sure.
So you can just
Yes.
raise the query over there, and our BitsWits team can just look after and get back to you.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.